But Scarlet really wants to play. She's been watching this entire time. Finally get to play, so I put her on my team, and we're facing off against Annie and the friend again. And she is like this fucking close, man. I guess my webcam's gone now, but she actually like touches the 8-ball, so it's like almost in the fucking pocket. So I yell at her, I'm like, Scarlet, here, now, look at me. Look at me. And I like literally like point her in my eyes.
I'll bring your camera up. Let's do this again. Go, quick.
Okay, I'm like, Scarlet, look at me. Right here. All right. No. No. And by this point, she's kind of like a little bit tipsy after a couple of drinks, so she thinks I'm being hilarious and just keeps laughing at me. You know what the fuck she does? Like the next 3 turns, she taps that 8-ball right into the corner pocket, so we end up fucking losing. God. Ugh. We're bad at pool.
I hope you punished her at the very least.
You kind of made it sound lewd. I didn't really.
No, I didn't. I think only. I think you're the one who's making that. When I say punish, tell me, Zombie, what comes to mind for you? Are you thinking whips and leather? Because I'm just talking like yelling at her very loudly.
No, what I ended up doing was just sinking to the floor and crying a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. All right, well, guys, we are in game number 1, brand new series. Bottom right side of the map, we got the blue Zerg player, Euronics Gaming's Nerchio.
And in the top right, as the Teal Protoss, he is the artist formerly known as Prince.
Would he be formerly, though, if his name is Prince?
Oh, damn, that's a good point.
You know what? Here's the thing. Again, this goes back to Nation Wars for a moment. Enthusiastic, energetic, very professional zombie group shows up at Nation Wars, kills it, kicks ass, everyone's impressed and loves it, comes back to the channel, it's a shit show again, and you know what? This is just gonna go back to, well, it looks like when zombie groups around Rifkin must be the one who brings her fucking down.
Excuse me. Ooh.
The new Link skin looks very strange in that production tab, I gotta say.
Yeah, all the collectible skins look pretty weird in the production tab. So another story from the after party, real quick, by the way, is so Apollo was trying to get live in the party a little bit, so we got a round of shots, and he brought him over, and he was like, you know, gave it to like 7 people. It was like, shots, anyone? And I'm like, interested, right? So I go, and someone's like, what type of shots? Tequila shots. I backed the hell away so quickly. So did Sasha, by the way, and we ended up being...
Gosh, are you allergic to tequila or something?
I'm pretty sure I am now. We ended up backing away, and apparently it was the best thing ever, because you know what Korea doesn't have? Good tequila. Good anything besides soju. Poor guys that took the shots were feeling it after. Anyway.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Zombie Grub is an excellent drinker. She just can't wait to prove it every chance she gets. And thus makes a mess.
You know, they understood vodka cranberry, because it's the same thing in Korean. And I had enough of those, but fuck a tequila shot. Well, no, thank you.
I remember for a while you commented like you were feeling like a little bit sick when you started drinking. Is that better now? I guess. Did you get like super drunk at the after party or what?
Oh no. That's been so that was like 3 months after Austin. Basically, I just could not stomach alcohol. That was I kind of got over it in Montreal, to be honest. And had enough to drink. It was I haven't gotten drunk really at all since Austin.
My wild girl days are behind me.
Kind of, yeah. You know, tipsy, that really good amount of just like, this is the chill point,
Buzz.
sure. But
yeah.
not any farther than that. And tequila shot probably would have made me throw up. Not gonna lie.
Alright, well, Nerchio got some pretty good information early on. He was able to expand pretty much accordingly too, not getting too close to his opponents. He's also had the Overlord just kind of chilling for a while, so you know, he knows what Prince is up to. He sees a wall. I think he saw the Adepts a moment ago when he had dipped up there with his leggings, but even if he doesn't actually see them either way, he's moving towards roaches and he'll be prepared for them. Double shoutouts to Nerchio for the cool roach skin, by the way. This
is very familiar. Of course, you know, the adepts running in here aren't accompanied by twice as many, a few times as many, 4 times as many adepts, but you know, the adept attack itself looks pretty familiar.
This is pretty cool on Nerchio too. He waited for those adepts to go out. He realized there's an opening. He picks off that pylon. Now there's an opening in the wall. Back at home, roaches give chase to the adepts. Several left in the main mineral line too. There might not be spine crawlers like Lenok did to lock this down, but the roaches should still be able to handle this. Ling's also killed about 9 probes in the main, and this gets pretty nasty for Prince pretty quick.
Yeah, this is a really good tactic by Nerchio. I mean, this was, of course, really on Prince to leave that wall open, and then the pylon went down super easy because it was surrounded, but Nerchio with a pretty wise move there. 15 probes total loss. The probes the natural aren't mining for a couple of seconds. This is already game.
Yeah, good guy Nerchio actually used the WCS mod when he hosts this too, so you can see the graph actually. That dip is very much a representation of the lifeline of Prince. Just like whoosh.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Nerchio does... I mean, he could just mass up roaches and move across the map and probably win. I guess it's always a bit complicated to beat a Protoss on 2 bases. They open a couple of sentries, they got immortals, and yeah, you could technically throw a lot of roaches away, but man, killing the economy and the army of Prince, those numbers aren't looking so hot. I guess Nerchio's going to wait for his Hydralisk, though.
I like that he's playing it safe and sorry. There's actually a little bit of speculation getting into the game. I'm apparently only just learning about the term fast nick. I've literally never, like 3 years of doing this, I've never seen anyone type FN or fast nick when referring to somebody else's alias before. But Nerchio was wondering, like, you know, is Prince a fast nick, apparently? Or, like, I guess a fake name for a Korean player who's smurfing the account. Like, is this Zest, you know, disguised as Prince or something like that? But I think a little bit, perhaps... more confident now that it's a player he can defeat either way. You see, it's such a good opening here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like Prince was beating Alive and, you know, really good names until this point, so... I mean, technically, even Zest could make a mistake like that, but if it was Zest, he would have opened up with Dark Trine. Like, what are you kidding? This
is like when we cast that barcode and we're like, oh, it's not Zest, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright, the Hydra should snipe off this War Prism. Oh, that's going to feel really bad. And that's going to shut down a lot of pushing power out of Prince. Who, by the way, I guess had stuck the Immortal in there too. So that also went down. This is not good.
No. Disruptors are certainly a way back into the army fights. You get a really good Disruptor shot that could easily take away 20 army supply. But he would need 3 Disruptors all getting that same type of shot. And he would also need the 3rd base to be coming down. Unfortunately, the only thing that killed Overlord dropping creep right there would have been sentries. If he takes the forward base, that sometimes is okay, but certainly not when you're already at a bad position.
This is one thing I really like about Nerchio. A lot of players that we watch would be pretty complacent about which units they turn into. Oh my god, no! I was just complimenting you! You son of a Polish... Alright, so Nerchio just talked about the worst Disruptor hit he could hope for. I mean, that was not just a lot of roaches, but it also got the Hydras, and that kind of sucks. But I do want to point out that as devastating as that was, it barely scratched the surface of his army value. He's still sitting on like 89 plus. He's still got a lot of money in that bank. In fact, he's probably just waiting for Larva before he builds anything else. Nerchio's good to go. But my point I was going to just mention, just like a bit of the meticulous nature of Nerchio, is he doesn't just make any units randomly into roaches, into ravagers. He'll pick the weak ones to heal them up. I really like that move. It's subtle, and some players will make the extra effort, but a lot don't. Either way, god damn it, Nerchio, that was a nasty Disruptor.
Well, Prince needs about 4 more of those, and again, even then, that would only start evening up the army supply.
Yeah.
Nerchio would be on 4 bases, because 5 drones could replace, you know, 8, 10 Disruptor shots like that before he has to really worry about dying. Oh, this is going to be a huge surround.
This is an Xbox 360 surround is what it is. Because once it's done, you play it once and then it's done. That's it. Huh. Everything dead. RIP. GG's. Nerchio takes game number 1. GG. Alright, well guys, we didn't play commercial break because we listened to the cool story of Zombie Grub. Not degrading your story, but it was cool. And we'll see you guys in a couple minutes while we get this 2-minute break. Alright folks, we're back. You hear the beeps, but Zombie Grub was requested to show off her kitty cat. There he is, Apollo, without his tail and little tiny bum bum. He's so cute. He's just standing there. All right, let's get into game, guys. Echo, going to be the second map selected here by Prince, as it is loser's choice in the Corsair Cup. I do want to mention, even though we've got these really awesome changes coming for the tournament in 2017, the actual format itself is going to still run the same. It's still going to be single elimination. It's still going to be as you know it. It's just the key difference is more prize money and a league system. Should be get a lot more fun, I think, to play in, hopefully. Now, that being said, spawning here in the bottom right for the Corsair Cup, we've got the blue Zerg player, Nerchio.
And in the top left, as the red Protoss, he is Prince.
And down a game right now. We'll see if he can bring it back. I don't envy this guy, though, because, well, Lenok might be in the brackets, and he's a Korean Zerg. Nerchio's probably the scariest name left, in my honest opinion. Also, a bit surprising, Bly's been knocked out already by Hellraiser? Oh.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, Hellraiser's a guy we see very commonly on the brackets, but certainly not usually beating Bly.
Yeah, 2-0 at that, so nicely done for him. Thank you, Suke Walsh. Cullen, my man, I hope you had a good holiday season. He subbed for 14 months. It says, Happy Boxing Day. Time to ace food the Christmas leftovers. Oh, I know, my friend. I know.
Oh, I've already done that. I specifically requested to my mom, because we've actually made a tradition in the last, 7 years or so, to eat Chinese food on Christmas. Christmas Story.
Okay.
And I specifically asked my mother, 3 weeks ago, if I could have a Thanksgiving dinner on Christmas.
Oh.
Because I didn't get to have Thanksgiving dinner, so.
Ah, that's right, because you're in Korea. Nice.
Yep,
That
I saw a bunch
hype?
of people go to, Itaewon and eat Thanksgiving meal, but I didn't. What?
Feels bad, man. Of course, while this is going on, quick reminder, because we got a couple of donations already. We're trying to really hammer in that fundraiser, guys. And again, we're not going super hard on trying to push it out or advertise it yet, but donations to the stream are going to go directly to that fundraiser. So if you guys haven't already, make sure to type !mega in chat. Even if you don't plan to contribute yourselves, inform yourselves of the cool plans we have for 2017 and some of the awesome stuff we're going to be doing. So thank you in advance, and thank you as well to all the people who have contributed so far. Now, Nerchio, not doing anything too crazy. This is kind of something I actually like about him. That first game, it looked easy at a glance, honestly, and this may have been a situation where for him, he just kind of ha, Prince, okay, calm down there, guy. But for him, he doesn't go with early pools. He doesn't try anything too risky. I like that he actually just plays still with not just respect, but I guess care that his opponent could screw him over with some weird all-in that he doesn't see coming.
Yeah, like Lenok.
Yeah, kind of like what happened to Lena. Good example, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, you saw him do not exactly. It wasn't really an all-in, but it had to turn out that way because he didn't wall off his natural correctly. I wonder what this means for this game. I mean, first of all, have a Zealot there and a Adept there. Of course, it's easy fix, number one, but actually really changing things up from not a Adept attack or Dark Shrine, which both are very expected nowadays in the matchup, but to a Stargate, which has become. It's really gone from what you used to do every single game, back to Dusk Towers. It was always Stargate opener versus Zerg, to nowadays what is probably I think the third most common opener, maybe fourth. No, I'd say third. Yeah, and usually on map dependent, cases too. Like Van Eye would be Stargate, but Echo is much more commonly that Dark Shrine.
Did Nerchio actually see? He did actually see the Stargate with that link. Okay. So, a little bit of a supply block is a bit awkward because there's no pylons on the way. Oh no, Prince. Not like this. Not like this. That's going to be a good 40 seconds delayed. Not to mention the build time of the Oracle itself. Oh, okay. That's an extra queen or two being out in difference of time. That's you really not being able to get much damage done here. So. It's a small, simple mistake, but it's one that's going to cost Prince any real chance of doing damage.
Yeah, that is quite unfortunate. I mean, the main purpose of the Oracle isn't technically to do damage. If it gets 10 drone kills, then that's fantastic, but usually I would say maybe 2 or 3 with a Spore Crawler down, and then Revelation, of course, and good knowledge what your opponent's doing, so maybe you can get that fast third. But he's already delayed a little bit.
Thank you to Speedy Steve 422 for the Twitch Prime sub, by the way. I'm proud of you for not being Speedy Steve 420.
420.
Nothing against
Either.
the 420 crew, but the 422 is new.
They changed that mileage sign in Nevada to 419.99.
Yeah, because it kept getting stolen or something. Alright, unfortunately, the Oracle, as predicted, does not get a lot done, even as it dips into the main. Probably 5 drones at most. Queen's already almost killed it. Yeah, it's got to back away. Keeping this thing alive for Revelations is far more important than anything else, but Nerchio going for that snipe just barely misses it. The Queen's slightly out of position, and the Oracle will barely get out of there alive.
Interesting. We have not just one Void Ray follow-up, but 2. And I was going to say, if there's more than one Void Ray, that generally means there's going to be more than one Stargate, as you are going to be going into air. Echo, not a bad map, that third base being pretty easy to take. So, this makes sense.
I love how only once in a while, but it still happens, that you'll click on something in the production tab, and it won't actually take you to it. Like, you click on the Stargates, and then like you end up over in the natural, and you're like, why? Like, why?
Oh yeah, when it's like a space outside of your vision, it should still take you. Like, what the hell?
Well, either way, 3 Stargates is certainly nasty to deal with. I mean, this was something we probably could have talked about at the start of the game. Echo is one of the most common maps for people to turtle up and try to go that mass air style on. And I actually want to see Prince pull this off. Not in terms of like going all the way to winning with it per se, but I want to see what Nerchio does to deal with it, because Nerchio is one of these forefront Zerg players. I want to see what his strategy is when it comes to dealing with that mass air. Big shoutouts to Zomboid989, by the way, for the Twitch Prime sub. Joining us brand new in chat. Welcome to the family.
Zomboid.
Zomboid, Tomboy.
Almost. So, I mean, yes, this is kind of in a way a cheesy strategy. Like usually cheese is something early on, but it hasn't always been that way. Basically, just something that can end the game at a certain point, I guess. If you get to mass carriers or even mass void rays, we've seen some other Protoss players hold off in carriers for a very long time. It can seem unbeatable, and just like, well, of course the Protoss would try and do this. Generally, it's harder to, get to that late game because there's so many opportunities for the opponent to kill you before then, but Nerchio didn't really go that path. He's actually looking to meet him in the late game.
Yeah. Awesome for Void Ray attack going on, but while this went off, Korean commentators started yelling because E.G. Idra allegedly is the top Korean caster of the day, donating $69. Says, I'm returning to the game with my new 69 speedling timing attack. Feels good, man. Well, that definitely seems very real and very legitimate, so I'm excited to see the return of Idra, if for no other reason, it guarantees that Husky will come back too, right? And Day 9?
Yeah, Day 9, who's learning Dota right now.
Yeah. I saw that on the StarCraft Reddit. They're like, oh, I can't wait to tell everyone Day 9's back with Dota. Come check him out, guys. I'm like, guys, Day 9. No, I love Day 9, but stop. Just stop. Let it go.
Yeah.
So cannon defense, lots and lots of void rays. I love that he did this first instead of going straight to carriers, because a lot of times where they're like, you've got those 2 carriers popping out, but as they do, they die. So while Nerchio said he have spore crawlers, creep tumors, and everything he'd want to have anti-air-wise on this side of the field, he can't push in right now, and that's because Prince went for these void rays. So buys himself some really solid defense. I think, though, as good as carriers are, like carriers on mass, Mothership, this will get a lot done, but you need, not just one, but you need Templar to lock this all down. Storms are obviously one thing, but abducts get canceled out by feedbacks. I mean, there's a lot of sort of checks you have to do on both sides of the field for this, for both the Protoss and the Zerg. The Protoss just doesn't become truly unstoppable until you add those Templar in.
Wasn't it Nerchio versus Morrow on Dusk Towers? Super long game.
That was Ghost User. You're talking about where he killed all of his own stuff and went like 99 mutas?
No, and that was on Overgrowth. No, Nerchio versus Morrow was a huge late game PvZ.
I don't recall this then. I wouldn't doubt it.
Morrow had changed to Protoss at that time, and well, so I wanted to confirm if it was Nerchio because I remember thinking, or us talking about it.
Was that map? Because it was. Oh yeah, it had the choke in the middle. Yeah, it had the choke in the middle. You're right. I remember which one you're talking about now.
Okay, so confirmed, right? Because I was going to bring up that Nerchio has in the past, and any good player will fall into this, where they'll think, okay, this guy wants to go to late game, that's fine. I know he won't be able to kill me, he'll be able to damage me, I should have better mechanics than him. I'll take him to the late game and I'll win. But they didn't work out. Morrow actually got to the unbeatable Almost
Golden
unbeatable,
Armada.
Yes, Golden Armada ended up winning, and Nerchio got very frustrated.
Oh, you're right.
So,
I actually forgot about that series, but you're nailing it, because I remember now, like, too, we thought he was trolling because he was so far ahead. We thought he was goofing around, but then it turned out he just genuinely was like, I don't know. Like, what do I do?
yeah, he tried like throwing on Nidus Worms and everything. So I'm kind of getting that same. It might be the case where Nerchio is totally in control and he knows exactly when he's going to attack and he's totally just going to win right off the bat. But I wouldn't be surprised if he took it to the late game thinking I'll do everything right and then realizes that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll win. Of course, that game is a little bit different because Maro was able to get to a 4th base, which is something that's going to be very difficult to do for Prince. On Echo in general, that's just, it's going to be hard to do against Sergio, who's already expanded the creep so much.
Well,
but you can get maxed out. You get maxed out, it's still a very good army.
So I do want to bring up the fact that we saw Scarlet do something kind of similar to this when we saw her playing against that unknown barcode player. And I really like the idea of the Spore Crawlers on the front line. They add a lot of extra, but there's also a small change, I guess, to the game. It's not a big detail, but if you guys weren't keeping up with patch notes, Interceptors cost 10 instead of 5 now. Well, that's still not exactly devastating to somebody who has to rebuild an Interceptor army. It is something where 3 bases will not last you nearly as long as they used to. And with no chance of taking a 4th, I think that's where this hurts the most. But I like what Prince is doing behind this. Trying to get this Warp Prism out and around the map and maybe do a little bit of counter damage. I like that a lot because Nerchio's got all of his forces on the front lines.
That is nice, and if you really are banking too much money compared to your gas, then it is a very good use of minerals to get those Zealots in there. And the Warp Prism, of course, only costs minerals as well. The chances of it doing, like, catastrophic damage is just really low. But if it brings the army back, so maybe you can start clearing up your 4th base, then that is already an excellent move. He didn't have to warp in Zealots to do this, which is really, really good. So kudos to Prince and Nerchio. I'm already a little scared for Nerchio. Like, with Storm finishing up, but even without Storm, the feedbacks already provide such good use with a maxed out carrier army. I don't know, man.
I think Prince's chances of winning this game grow with each second that pass by, but it's still, for me, I have faith, like blind, ridiculous, dedicated faith in Nerchio. These Banelings, of course, don't need detection. If they can just roll right on in and clear. Oh my god, they killed like half the Templar with that.
That is really good. Prince still not on a lot of gas, but unless he plans to immediately follow up, there's still, does it actually add anything there?
I think the damage we'll see reflected in a moment or two. The thing about not having those Templar, I'm less worried about Storms and, of course, a lot more worried about these Abducts. Those Vipers keep getting very forward with nothing pushing them back.
If Nerchio can't bust him on a 4th base, that just really looks quite good for Prince.
In the winter, the migration of the Spore Crawlers, they look for warmer grounds, heading more northwards.
Oh, okay, the Banelings are going to help bust cannons too, if not High Templars.
Upstream. There's some of those feedbacks we've been looking for. I mean, the Spore Crawlers, it's a little bit silly, and the Banelings are used to bust the cannons. I actually really like the Banelings for the sake of busting the cannons, but with no Templar to guard them, there should be a Storm washing this off. Oh, the Stasis Trap is so good! But those are still going to come out of Stasis and roll into the cannons, so I don't know just how good that necessarily was. But the point is, this is clearing up those cannons, whereas Lings would just eventually bleed off and die to it. Hell, we've even seen Ultras held off by cannons before, too. So this is a cool move out of Nerchio. And the Spore Crawler line is so extensive at this point, any Abduct is good.
Oh my god, feedback. So many Storms left over on all these High Templar. I mean, there's still at least 2 left over. Okay, maybe 1 now. That's a little bit dangerous, because I was going to say, as long as he has backup High Templars, then go ahead and start throwing down everything you want, but you do want Storms.
Nerchio just did something really cool, though. Well, that looked like a great fight for Prince, because he annihilated Nerchio's army supply. Ooh, some counterattack damage gets off while this goes on. Nerchio was able to take out a good chunk of the Void Rays with that. Traded out Spore Crawlers, which cost just barely minerals, but he kept most of his Corruptors alive. The Corruptors have no problem fighting against the Carriers. The Corruptors struggle to fight against those Void Rays. But now that the Archons are out, Nerchio's got to back away. And well, there's, again, about 1 million creep tumors and some static defense on the map. The fact that he lost control on the main for even a few seconds kind of just says, like, Nerchio is in maybe a little bit of trouble.
I think he's in a lot of trouble. Nerchio lost so much army supply compared to that of Prince, and he's the one... Sure, that has a bit of a bank, but this is not 10,000 minerals, 10,000 gas. This is enough to get a handful of Ultras, apparently.
What's really unfortunate right now is Prince isn't having any sort of engagement on top. Like, if there's a fungal growth, a parasitic bomb, Corruptors, whatever you want to call it, all those carriers on the left side were empty. They had lost all their interceptors, and that's where Nerchio could have struck. But he had retreated, he'd been distracted, and those Zealots end up having those carriers not just live, but actually kill instead of being empty cargo in the sky.
Well, at least Nerchio's backed up to almost. Well, he is max, but I was gonna say almost to Prince's army supply.
Well, Nerchio's also still going for like ranged weapon upgrades. We don't see that many Hydras.
Yeah.
We don't see that many Ultras. Oh, he flies too close with the Corruptors, too close to the sun. These Icarus guys end up taking the heat, falling back. Those Archons are scary. The Storms are scarier, and Nerchio is being slowly but surely pushed back.
And these Ultras are supposed to take out the Archons on the ground as well as the High Templars.
They're not,
they aren't really doing that.
They're getting absolutely shredded. As he keeps ducking in, though, the Corruptor control's still not too bad. He's clumped up now. This is where it gets scary. He's eating a lot of the Archon Blast, but he takes out the last of the Void Rays. And once again, the carriers are not so scary if there's no Void Rays protecting them.
The Archons, he's got to move his carriers so the Archons always get that really good splash to the Corruptors.
Yep. He starts pushing some of this back. Nerchio loses a base for it, and he's also exhausted his bank. This is what's so scary for me. Nerchio is floating like a good 2,000 minerals, 2,000 gas, like without a care in the world. Losing that forward base kind of sucks. He'd also spent so many drones making spore crawlers.
Well, Prince might be making a mistake here. I'm not sure. He did secure his fourth base, so actually, I guess not. You know, his one mistake could be like going back and not remaxing as quickly as Nerchio, who at least has consistent mining. But really, it's only the one base. He's only just sending all of his drones over to the top right, top left, or bottom left, still not being used. So it's Prince actually who is looking a bit better. I guess Nerchio's still winning the income war, but like drastically less than he was. I'm
still like jaded to say Prince is winning this game though, because here's the thing: like Prince has a fantastic army supply, right? But there's no replacing it, and not because of the minerals, but because of the gas. His main's going to be exhausted by now. His natural's probably running out shortly. If he loses these units, he doesn't get to replace them the same way Nerchio does. I love that we see Infestors coming out too. We talked about this in the past, but if you hit that fungal growth on top of the Interceptors, that's a good few seconds they're not attacking. That's a good few seconds they just can't do anything to contribute to the fight. On top of this, we got Neural Parasites to hold the phone. Forget Fungals, who might have some mind controls coming into play.
Yeah. Well, that would be pretty cool. I do always wonder if it's enough. You know, like Neural Parasite always comes in, looks super cool, but it hasn't really won a game that I've seen.
Well,
since Wings of Liberty?
What I'm curious about is one of the things that has changed is the question of detection. Like, can you actually deal with burrowed infestors? There's no burrow yet, so we won't get to see that come into play, but burrow neural parasite has got to be one of the most frustrating things to not see coming. Crypt is also catching a lot of the Void Rays on that rally. Nicely done out of Nerchio, policing the top side of the map.
Well, this is apparently going to be another wait till max out, as Prince doesn't feel quite confident enough. Again, after taking that last fight, he probably could have continued pushing to win, especially if he could warp anything on the ground, because Nerchio was actually just reinforcing with just Lings, not even quite Banelings yet. But he's taking his time getting back to maxed out, and he's close to it. Looks like he still also wants to secure a fifth base.
Like, I'm impressed that Prince is still expanding. This is cool. But I really want to see fungal growths come out of Nerchio on this one, not neural parasites. I think even just freezing the interceptors in place for a moment gives them a lot of maneuverability with those corruptors, but he's got so much to deal with here. There's storms, there's feedbacks, there's Archons still underneath this. Some Void Rays did get rebuilt, even though many were killed. This is still not a great situation for Nerchio. His choice to back away is because he sees the Warp Prism coming to the top side. Yeah, Link's running up here to deal with that.
I don't think Nerchio really has a plan here. The Neural Parasite looks really cool, but I gotta figure he's feeling very frustrated right now.
I kind of wonder.
And a little bit desperate.
I kind of wonder what you prioritize for the Neural on this one. I think Archons wouldn't be too bad, even if they only get off like 1 or 2 blasts, just because the splash damage. But at the same time, if you can remove enough Void Rays from the equation, just even, albeit temporarily.
Yeah. And that's good. That's always why I guess I've been, you know, like really just unsure about the Neural Parasite, because I guess speaking of the games that I've seen Neural Parasite actually win, it was back when the mothership had to get the Vortex off.
Yo, I didn't realize. I was wondering what I was thinking. Nerchio doesn't even have chitinous plating, by the way. Small little WTF moment.
He does. He does.
Oh, does it? Okay, then he doesn't have any actual armor upgrades then. The point is, these ultras are fairly weak, is my point.
Yeah.
Sorry, I saw the 3 air carapace and my brain did a burp. But here we go. Fungal growth land on top of the army. Not looking too bad as the Banelings roll in. I think they took out most of the Templar, but as you can see, the Corruptors take a lot of splash damage, and I'm not sure this is necessarily going well for Nerchio. His army supply plummets. He has no bank. Well played, bro. Nerchio, not the type of guy to GG, so when you get one of those ones, not necessarily an honor.
Yeah, it must really mean you did very well.
Oh, of course, of course. Very long game, though. We'll go to game number 3 coming up. Again, Echo is the map you expect that to come down on. Surely this can't be Nerchio's kryptonite. He's such a good player, but that looked pretty unbeatable with the way he handled it.
Unless he chooses Van Eye, which makes no sense for Nerchio to do after that. I wouldn't be too worried.
Well, I mean, it's Nerchio's pick. Lobby's already going up, so let's hop into it.
You all right?
So, by the way, I just want to address some of the real talk Nathanius has been throwing down in chat. There's a couple of points of views on this, and I definitely have a very strange one. And the most recent, and this is the one I think is the one that's finally triggered worth debating or talking about. It says, I'm a content creator, and no, I don't want to only do StarCraft 2 because the company does nothing to motivate me to even work on their game, let alone give me opportunities to monetize. And I just want to say, for someone who's on our point of view, where we're in a very different position than Nathanius, right? Like, Nathanius is the WCS caster. He's got his own awesome channel. He does a lot of stuff great, but we've been outside of the system, and we haven't really been integrated into it at all. And even then, we still get to work with Blizzard a lot. And on that note, they still don't give us a lot of options to monetize either. Everything... Like, I'm very proud, I guess, in a way, to say that BaseTradeTV has managed to find money in StarCraft, but I want to emphasize how impossibly difficult that's been. You guys will notice we don't have t-shirt sales ever. That's because we got shut down by Blizzard a long time ago. You guys can't sell things with StarCraft 2 related content on it. You will get sued, was the message we got. And this wasn't like a mean one, but this was a we have to protect our IP one. So we can't sell t-shirts. There's no way to monetize stuff that goes on in game. I would love to put thousands of dollars into developing some sort of really cool arcade game where like we could do microtransactions or something. But that's nothing that's available and possible. So I can't speak well as far as like what could, should, or would be done. But it is truth. Like, there is almost no way to monetize yourself with StarCraft, so it's not surprising to see people move away from it. It's heartbreaking for certain, but it's definitely something I think is not a topic that should be swept under the rug. And I'm glad people like Nate are vocal about it, because it is something that needs to be discussed. I don't think Blizzard's ever going to change its ways because it's, they're mean, grumpy parent companies or anything like this, but they have their limitations, and it's hard to work within them. But don't get us wrong, guys. We still very much appreciate and love Blizzard, and we're still here doing StarCraft day in and day out, so something's working for us. But
well, I think it is. Yeah, all that is true. It is important to note that 7 years ago, well, 2 years ago, they were actually like 100% worse than they are now.
Yeah,
so
it's getting better. It's slow, unfortunately, but it's getting better. I will say, though, on that last topic, though, and this is what really was the point I wanted to get towards, though, was I loved how when StarCraft 2 first came out, there was this idea that map makers and arcade people could make money through it. And I would love to get like the behind-the-scenes talk and find out why that got roadblocked, why that got stonewalled, why that never happened. Because I feel like StarCraft 2, in an alternate universe where that actually went through, where people who made these awesome tower defense games could like monetize them even slightly, we'd have like an incredibly vibrant and different scene.
That is a what-if scenario right there. That was so unfortunate.
By the way, as we will get into the game's last point here, people ask about the website. Unfortunately, our website has broken over the holiday season, guys. We're going to work to get it back up, but it is not available right now. But that being said, all our stuff is always going to be posted on the Team Liquid calendar, so in the meantime, while we don't have the BaseTradeTV calendar available, there's always the Team Liquid one to look towards. But let's get into these intros 2 minutes in. Bottom left side, it's the Blue Zerg, Nerchio.
Whoopsie. And the top right, as the red Protoss, he is Prince.
Yeah. And things are tying up 1-1. Bit of a pause. Very lag. Hopefully not too laggy.
Is this guy your Korean or what?
Maybe, with the English like that. This would have been that great time for us to have instead had that conversation, but...
yeah, wouldn't it have been?
Like, I feel like this is something that if StarCraft 2 talk shows were still a thing, would be a great topic for one. I know Wardy, I think, is bringing his back for 2017.
He is, yeah. It just, it's... I actually don't even know exactly how a talk show is ever going to get as big as they were before. I mean, first of all, they've been, losing viewers with every new type of show. But also just now, I don't know. Like, I don't discredit Wardy because I think having one is super cool, and I actually like being on them occasionally, like getting invites is nice and everything, but I feel like it'd have to be like a BaseTradeTV thing after a tournament type thing to actually be as big as they used to be. But maybe
Yeah.
I'm giving us too much credit or to other people too little credit.
I think it really would just depend on what, I guess, what the general, how to say, like, state. I don't want to say. I'm trying to think of a way to say it other than state of the game, but the general state of the community, I guess. Better way to phrase that would be like, is everyone back because it's BlizzCon, 100,000 viewers hype, and that's where you get everyone's attention, or do you just try and do it out of nowhere on a Wednesday and hope for the best?
Yeah.
Either way, again, like, people are talking about the t-shirt stuff in chat for bringing it up. Like, I want to stress, guys, I totally understand where Blizzard's coming from. I'm not at all angry that we can't put out, like, shirts, but it really sucks too. Like,
Well,
it's
just the easiest
understandably
thing.
sucky.
Yeah, it's the easiest thing everyone can point to that we aren't allowed to do, basically,
Well,
which is sucky, but it also makes sense.
It frustrates me specifically because I've been so harsh on Kespa about how it was dumb that they didn't monetize themselves well, right? Like,
Yeah.
you didn't sell SKT shirts for the longest time. Why the fuck not? Fans would have spent like thousands upon thousands of dollars buying shirts in StarCraft Prime if you had made it available to the foreign audience. I feel like Blizzard is in a small way doing that to itself. It's too late at this point. Like, the t-shirt sales for any individual content creator would be so small and insignificant that it's not that big of a deal now. And this is actually a big deal here. But it's that same road, that same path, and you're like, Blizzard, why? Oh
Yeah.
no, Prince
no,
had this
why?
unlocked, and I don't know why he pulled away from the door.
This is very unfortunate. This is so much more like game number 1. We even have Resident Glaives on the way, which is something that Nerchio could scout easily. His Lings, but he's gonna go for more probes as he sees the Adepts transfer to the main base. Whoopsie daisy.
This is all kinds of awkward. Nusha's actually gonna just go for that surround on the pylon, try and knock this down, but backs away. I mean, 6 probes killed is already pretty fantastic damage for what this was intended to do. This was definitely not meant to get through that wall in the slightest, especially with 2 Adepts waiting.
I mean, this is also, again, scouted what Prince has been doing. So he didn't get into the main base, but I don't think you really need to. Seeing the Adepts warp in and having that Overlord further seeing what warps in. And now you see a Robo, so I think the suspicion, of course, comes down for, like, okay, maybe now you want to scout if there's additional gateways, but he has an Overlord that if he was really worried, because he's an Overseer off to the right side now. He still has the Lings out on the map to check if the third base comes down, which he does see the probes in tension. This is not really what you're supposed to open up with. I mean, I know there are some Protosses that do open up with Resident Glaives and choose not to really attack, because if you lose them all in a hurry, you just get instantly counterattacked, and that can be bad. But it's usually about at least 1 attack with Adepts, and then you warp in the rest at home to have the truly safe Adept expand. To have just nothing going across the other side of the map isn't a good sign. And the War Prism's coming pretty late too, so it's not like that's going to be able to do a lot of harassment.
No. I like the idea of the sentries, though. Either this is super defensive, or you might pull some crazy tactics and drop and force field off that ramp. Unsure. We'll find out in a moment. I do want to, again, as this continues to go on in chat, Zombier mentioned it before, and I'll reiterate, Blizzard's getting better at a lot of the way they're trying to help people. And my biggest example for this would be the WCS player portraits. I don't know if they'll ever release numbers for that, but a percentage of those portraits sold were going directly to the players, and I would like to know how much that was. Like, did each player make like $1,000 off all the portrait codes purchased, or was it really like $20? Like, how much was made for that? How effective was that? Because I feel like that's got to be like one of the biggest pushes for supporting not just content creators but players in that instance.
Well, no attack from Prince meant that Nerchio could get very calmly up to a very good army. If that was his intention, which obviously it was, he just put a lot of his most recent larva into Roaches, a couple Ravagers too, and this is something that Prince, even if he did expect it, which I think the Overlord thing is fine.
GG. Yeah, the War Prism also turned away. You knew that things went bad from the get-go.
Yeah.
Nerchio will take a 2-1 and advance on through the round of 8 to the semifinals. The other semifinals, though, has a Korean matchup perhaps ready to go immediately. So what we will do is try and get in contact with Tails and Lenok, see if they want to play on Korea.
All right. Well, one's already hopefully only in lobby. Yeah, just in lobby.
So we're going to go to commercial break, guys. We'll sort out what's going on. When we come back, if Lenok's AFK, we'll swap around, but I think we'll try and do Lenok versus Tails first since it's fairly late in Korea, and we'll let one of them go to bed. So we'll try and get this sorted, and we'll let you guys know in chat when we're back. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.